There's no time to waste. It's 4 something in the morning. I couldn't sleep. I went over there, I lit my candles, my sage, said my affirmations, prayers like I normally do. And I commanded some things to happen. And boy, when I tell you they happen, they happen. The angels came, too. You probably think I'm crazy right now. But I'm about to tell you, all you people that's scared of death, I'm gonna tell you the process of death, step by step, and how this all works, and how it all plays out. I'm gonna break down reincarnation. I'm gonna break down second coming. I'm gonna break down everything that is, was, and will be in basic terms, you know? Now, as you see, I've been up. I've been up. We got Akashic Records. We got, astrology, all the stuff they tell you that you should have never did, but it was the main thing. How they gonna tell you don't look into astrology, where it don't say that nowhere in the Bible, It tells you about sorcery in the Bible. Sorcery, astrology is two different things. Astrology, how will you know the signs, the seasons, the great wonders that are gonna happen in the heavens, You will know by the signs, the wonders, and the signs of the times. But let's jump straight into death, because I don't want this video to be too long. You see? They activated me, and it went down in this joint. I'll tell you. I always had this chart. But I had to put down the definitions of each one next to them. What the hell is this on my thing? But let me jump right into it. It gets deep. It gets real deep how death works. I'm gonna even tell y'all about past lives I've had. I'm gonna tell you what's really going on here. Let's break this down. And as you can see, I've been studying for years and years, trying to figure this out. I have a great infatuation with death. It sounds crazy, right? I am fascinated with death and how it works. When I was a kid, I used to go past graveyards and just stand there and watch and meditate and zone out. I would read people's headstones. I would calculate, their time existence on the planet, and then I would go into these states of visualizing what it was like in their time, what they was doing, the timeline. It's just I can just feel this thing, I never used to really watch scary movies, but, this has been going on since I was a little kid. Most people don't know that, but it's always been going on. Now here, I've been studying for years. Just how you can see, I'm gonna show y'all some of these texts just to show you how extensive my research goes. I'll just show y'all a few, because it's way more than this. This is just one binder. I mean, every topic. So there's another one on here. All the different scriptures. That's why, a lot of these scriptures I already know by heart, because I've been studying them. This has been going on for I don't know, probably for 10 years. Probably less than that, probably 7. I started really going deep in it around a little bit before 2015, 16ish. So yeah, maybe around 10 years, close to it. I'd probably say around 16. So that'd be 9 years I've been doing this. But just to show you every topic. More scriptures. Never stop. This is before I got all those books over there, you see? All those books, all those books, all those books. More books over here. People are like, why you read a books on magic and this, and that? Magic is not what you think it is. Magic is magneticism. A physical property that allows objects to attract or repel each other through magnetic fields. Metaphysics, natural science. I'm gonna tell you, when I went to high school in Camden, right? When I went to Woodrow Wilson, I only went there for like a year, and then I was back and forth in and out of placements and juvenile detention centers. But the year I went there, the only thing I ever got an A in that school was in science. I got an A+ in earth science. That's crazy, right? Earth science, earth sign. I got a D in gym though. That's because we was cutting gym. You know, that was our time to leave school, go to the corner store. You know, because so many people in gym, they ain't really see what was going on. You know, I ain't participate in that. But they say that's the easiest class to pass. But I got a D in gym and I got an A+ in earth science at Woodrow Wilson High School, Camden, New Jersey. But I'm about to explain death to y'all. Death. Everybody's scared of death. Truth is, you never really die. You never really die. Let's get into it. Let's talk about some death, man. Anybody else fascinated with death? Put a like in the comment. Put a comment down. But I bet you ain't never know how death works like this, though. Watch this. Watch me cook. And I didn't put no sermon together, you know, I'm just freestyling this, but just using the materials at hand, you know, to paint a picture. All right, right here. The key to death is thermodynamics. This is the real key to death. Thermodynamics. This thermodynamics basically means energy never dies, you know. It just reboots, it resets, and it transfers. You know, thermodynamics, a branch of physics that studies how heat works and temperatures relate to energy, entropy, and the physical properties of matter. Properties of matter and radiation, it focuses on how thermal energy is converted to and from others. Forms of energy and how this process affects matter. Our bodies is matter, you know. You ever heard of solids and liquids? You know, we're gonna get to that too. Solids and matter. Energy cannot be created, nor could energy be destroyed. Now look at this. Plasma, right? Plasma. So, plasma, ionization. Plasma and ionization. It goes off like this. Plasma is ionized gas, a fourth state of matter, besides solid, liquid, and gas, where a sufficient portion of the atoms have lost electrons, resulting in a mixture of free electrons and positivity charge and ions. So plasma, you know that plasma is in your blood. You know, that's the energy force. You know, you got electrons, neurons, you know, you got all these different cells firing away in your body, you know. That's your life force, your blood, plasma. You know, the same thing that the sun produces. Plasma, you know. So my point is, everything that is outside of you is also inside of you, you know. Just like the stars in the universe and everything else, you know. This right here. Now look. This I jot out. We never really die. We don't exist without time, even though time may be an illusion. 3, we only use 10% of our cerebral brain is activated. 10%. But watch me cook. Now, 4, there are more neurons and cells in the body than stars in the universe. You know? Hold on. Every store is at least 30 to 60% off. All right. 4, there are more neurons and cells in the body than stars in the universe. You know? Everything that's within us is outside of us, you know? Just like the planets' alignments, the chakras, all of this stuff correlates, you know? The ethers work through the body. So, basically, when you die, right? Like I told you, energy never dies. It just transmutes, it transfers, it resets. You know, so when somebody dies, right, they go into a state. You know, when your body dies, a dopamine goes off in your body. This dopamine, it actually puts you in a hallucinative state. You know, you're like in a hallucinative state, like you was in a drug. It feels so good too when you're going through this. It's like you took some mushrooms or something, you know. But it's even better than that, you know. Yeah, you go through the spiral, you go through the tunnel because your energy now. You left the meat suit, you know. The body is gone, you know. Once you take your last breath is the same thing as ether. The breath of life is the spirit. The life force is ether. Ether is in everything, you know. It says it right here. It says, another important bird deity from ancient cultures is the phoenix, also known as the Bennu bird in Egypt. The Bennu bird was considered the soul of the sun god, Re, and the light at the apex of the pyramid. The name Bennu means to shine. The Bennu bird was equivalent to the phoenix bird that would destroy itself in flames every 1,000 years by burning itself in its nest to ashes, only to rise from the ashes, reborn and resurrected. The ability to travel into the ether or the upper atmosphere is why angels in religious traditions often depicted with wings. So, the ether is in all things, right? Let me show you the ether. Ether is the key to everything. All right, 1. Ether permeates all of nature, the universe, and existence. 2. Ether is primordial, essential, and fundamental. 3. Ether exists in outer space, the sky, and heaven. 4. Ether exists within the upper air and atmosphere. 5. Ether is related to breath and breathing. Remember I told you the breath of life? 6. Ether is needed for life. 7. Ether can incinerate and burn, just like you just seen with the phoenix. 8. Ether is related to light. 9. Ether is associated with energy. Now watch this. Now, when your body dies, I tell you, you take this last breath. You go back into the ether. This dopamine goes off in your body. Put you in this hallucinative state. You start to see everything. Everything that is, was, and will be that was just in your life. You know? You see past relatives. You see all types of things. You see your whole life flash upon your eyes in just a mere, probably like a second. Because you know how they say in the Bible, they said like a 1,000 years is like a day to the Most High God, the Great Spirit. You know, the omnipotent, inevitable one. Above all, you know, the Most High. And you see how it talked about sky, bird. Like, this is what this means. Anu. Anu means sky god, which means Most High. You know, heavens. The God of the heaven. That's the divine masculine energy. The wife is Mother Nature down here on the ground. That is Anna. You know, in Hebrew you call father Abba, and then the mother is Anna, Chokmah, wisdom, nature. You know, the nurturer, the nurturers, two sides to everything, the duality of things. So when you come out your body, you know, you take that last breath back into the ether. You know, it's like a gravitational pull. It's like a magneticism, you know, a physical property that allows objects to attract or repel each other through magnetic fields. So being that ether is in the air, the atmosphere, everywhere within you, because what you think plasma is that pumps through your body? Plasma is ionized gases. What's another word for plasma? Ether. When they tell you that you're getting CMEs, coronal mass ejections, solar flares coming from the sun and they're hitting Earth, it has an effect on all living organisms in all life forms when that ether hits the Earth. You know, it's called plasma. It's just plasma. It's plasma. It's life force. It's light, energy, rays. You know, that's why I said ray. You know, back to where we was reading. It says, the Bennu bird was considered the soul of the sun, God, Re, and light in the aspect of the pyramid. See, it wasn't really talking about a physical God. It was talking about an attribute within, you know. All these deities are attributes of oneself, you know, as a collective whole. Collective consciousness. So your body, when you go into the state, it's like astral projection. Once you leave the body, you can come. If you ever astral projected, you know, a lot of times they say a witch is riding your back or something. Something is holding you down, because normally that thing is holding you down because it doesn't want you to come out your body to be able to go up in the upper atmosphere or the ether or in the astral plane and collect knowledge. This knowledge is known as the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records deals with everything that is, was, and will be. Akashic also means ether as well. Just like when you hear people say Ashe online, they spell it A-S-E. Ashe also means ether. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. It's like another form of saying amen. But you're saying Ashe, ether, ether, ether. Ether is everything. It's all around you, you know. Akashic records are crystalline energy. It was never written down. It's the record keeper of all things that ever is, was, and will be. You can tap into the Akashic records. But a lot of people, they don't meditate or, you know, take care of their temple enough to get these light ray forces to come inside of them, you know, to show them these things, you know. You can find it in a deep meditative state, like what I was saying. Like, that's why it says don't use sorcery. Sorcery came from the Greek word pharmakia. Pharmakia is where you get your English word pharmacy from. Pharmakia, pharmacy, means altered drugs. They're not natural. They're not from nature. They're not nurturing you. All they are used to do is control your underlying condition. They don't cure your underlying condition. They're like mascara in a makeup. It just covers up the blemish, but the blemish is still there. It's not fixed. It's not going away. It's just a cover. So when you take these medicines, you know, they put you in another state. They alter your mind. These antidepressants, you know, all of these different medicines. People saying you got a problem. You got this, and that. No, you got a spirit that you got to tame. That's the problem. You don't need no damn pharmaceutical medicine. That's why when you see the bottles of the medicine, you always see a snake around the pole. That snake around the pole, the double snake around the pole, is also in the legs of the Baphomet. That's why it's sorcery. Most people, they'll frown upon voodoo, but they don't even know what it is. That's why God said his people suffer from the lack of knowledge, because voodoo just means spiritual people. And just like any religion, there's two sides to everything. You have good and bad. Voodoo priests and priestess are some of the greatest healers you'll ever find on the planet. Because God said, take heed in the herbs of the earth for the healings of the nation. So they do the actual opposite of what people that do sorcery do, you know? That's because the people that are going to the pharmacies from pharmakia, which came from the word sorcery, they're relying on the creature more than the creator. The creator, or the mother aspect of it, the nurturer, said, take heed in the herbs of the earth for the healings of the nation. Not the pharmaceutical, not the mixed components, not the synthetic opioids, not the fake GMO everything, No, that's sorcery. That's why God said my people are destroyed from the lack of knowledge. And just like some voodoo priestess and priests are some of the greatest healers, some of them are the greatest destroyers too. Because, like I said, it's duality. You have the dark art, and then you have the light side of it, But they're at a fight with each other too. Because when people on the dark side of things put spells on other people, they got to go to the other ones to get them off of them. You see how duality is? But they tapped into the metaphysical aspect of their power, And a lot of them, you see the Haitians and all of all these people came from West Africa. Even the slave trade, transatlantic, a lot of people came from West Africa. And then the people that was already here was the people that was been coming over here before Columbus even came here. So it's like a lot of the people they call indigenous, Native American people, you'll see a lot of them, they were black too, We ain't gonna sugarcoat it. It's right there in your record. It's actually 5 tribes. It's right. It's all online. It's all in books. Many people brought these books out. It's not a secret anymore. The Most High says Satan deceiveth the whole world. And he said he was going to use his elect to bring back out the truth. But we're going to get back to that. But death, when you go through this state, you go through this hallucinative state. So it's like you linger around your body for about 72 hours. The same thing that happened to Christ or Hamashiach, Christos. He said he rose in 3 days. What is 3 days? 24 times 24 plus 24 plus 24. 72 hours. What is 72? It's crazy, funny, right? Because it's actually 72 Hebraic names of God. There's 72 angels of light with legions, and there's 72 dark angels of light and legions. But 72 hours just coincidentally make 3 days. Rise, 3 days. Why you think in the book of Revelation, when it talk about the 2 witnesses, it said the people lie dead in the market street for 3 days. I think it said 3.5 days, but it was also a metaphor. But it was a metaphor for a period of time. But it always used 3. Just like Tesla said, the keys to the universe is 3, 6, and 9. There's no other number higher than 9. All the numbers do is reset after 9. It just goes back to 1. A 1 with a 0. Then a 1 with a 2. And then how you break the single digit numbers down, you just add them together and you get back, the double digit numbers, you just add them together and you get back to your single digit number. That's how you can decode stuff with numerology too. Some people call it gematria. But when you leave your body, it's like astral projecting. I had these experiences over and over and over again. As a youngin', I felt like I was being held down. I never was able to come out my body. But recently, and a lot of other times, I was able to come out my body. I was terrified at first. I didn't know what the hell was happening. But the spirits, they came from me. Actually, when you come out your body, there is a spirit that's guiding you out your body. But they're not trying to scare you. A lot of people panic and they jump back in their body. But when you come, it's like when you come out your body, you ever heard of people that said they had a near-death experience? They all said they came out their body. They were hovering over their body. They seen the people operating on them. They heard everything. They could see up, down, side to side without even turning their heads, But that's the same thing with astral projection. So after I stopped being scared of the astral projection process, I literally, every time I would come out my body. See, when you want to astral project, you have to lay flat. Your legs can't be touching each other, can't be cross each other. You can't be laying on your stomach. You got to be laying flat on your back. Legs got to be spread apart, arms apart, That's how it works. Every time I lay in that position, that's what I'll think about the astral projection. I'll relax my body. I'll feel all the energy in my body to a relaxed state, to the point, boom, it just happened. Come out the body. So every time I come out the body, I always touch the ceiling just to know I'm not tripping, you know. Like the other night, I came out my body 2 times in one night, you know. I was trying to control it so I can move around, you know. Like, once I got to the point where I can move around a room and I can see everything that's going on in the room, you know, I actually documented this. Just like I documented dreams of past lives, too. I'll tell you about this one specific one. This is a very vivid one that I remember, and deja vus and everything. But yeah, that's what happens. It's like a gravitational pull. You take your last breath, boom. A lot of people panic and scared, but a lot of people, they go in peace. You know, they go into a sleep state. They don't even know that they still think they sleep, you know? But they think they in a dream, but they actually on the other side. You get what I'm saying? Because they went through that portal, that spiral, you know, once that dopamine goes off, you know? And the breath of life goes out, because you're still conscious and aware, you know. A lot of people die, you know, and they don't go to a higher form of an etheric being. You know, a lot of people get reincarnated, and then they get their memories wiped, you know. It's like the game of Grand Theft Auto, right? You playing the game, you running around, you doing your mission, you collecting guns, ammunition, money, and all types of stuff. Ding, 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 ding. Next thing you know, you get killed, right? They say wasted. Boom. They got the blood coming down the screen. Boom. He's out of here. Next thing you know, you right back on the screen again. After it glitch out, and you right back in a new body. Trying to accomplish the same thing that you try to accomplish the last mission. You know? That's why this is a simulation. It's a simulation. The simulation is basically just like a game, you know? It was created, you know, by an architect, the architect of the universe. But only thing is, you get reincarnated, you don't have your same possessions, you don't have the same memories. You still have the same soul and spirit, though. That's the key. That's why sometimes when you're in your present life, you will have these deja vus, because you're in the same time, space, and matter, you know? Everything is all happening at once. The past, present, and the future. So when you in the present moment, you're like, I feel like I've been here before. You be in that trance state, you're like, and then first thing going, yeah, I've seen this before. I seen it. I saw it. You probably be thinking like I'm crazy, like, well, why do I feel that? Yeah, because you've been there before. They have a thing called past life progressions. So a lot of people, they can hypnotize you and put you in a state to where as though you'll start to remember these things. You'll be able to tap into more than 10% of your brain, you know, and you'll be able to remember them, because the memories is still there. They're called DNA memories. It's called, well, what scientists would call it is junk DNA. Put it that way. It's inside of your junk DNA. It's dormant information. That's why it's hidden from you, you know, and you only access 10% of it. It's still there. All your memories, it's still there, you know. You are your ancestors. Energy never dies. It transmutes. You are still conscious and aware. The same people you came in contact with in this life, when they're gone, you always come back in contact with the same energy over and over again. They're just in different forms, and you don't realize it. They might become your friends. They might become, you know, all types of stuff. Some of them might become a new relative or a new life, or, you know, somebody. Everybody always, when you come back, you come back with the same people that you was there with before that got reincarnated too, you know? When y'all got wasted, you know, and y'all got reset and put back in the program, you trying to figure it back out again. Put it that way. And you know, like I said, first is the energy never dies. Last breath, ether, energy. Dopamine goes off in the body. Going to hallucinative state. Your energy is conscious. It's aware. But you're literally in like a virtual reality, you know, at that time, you know. You're still in this space, you know, when you're lingering around the body for those 3 days, you know. And then you literally, that's when you start to transcend. In 3 days, you start to, it's like everything replay back to you. You collect all the energy from the earth wherever you left your mark at, and they all come back to you. And then you go to the next phase, and it's a whole process. A lot of people get reincarnated because you didn't accomplish your mission. This time around is different. So when I say the reincarnation state, it's just like, you know how they talk about the second coming of Christ? It's not what people think it is. Yes, it's the second coming. It's a great second coming, But the return of Christ is going to be in the elect ones. It's going to be Christ consciousness. It's going to be 144,000 of them activated. You got to have 144,000 messiahs activated all at one time, working on a collective consciousness. Because the Messiah told you, he said, in the later times, you will work greater wonders than I did. If the Messiah is the God, he was God in the flesh. I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. Just like Psalms, what is it? Psalms 82 or 83. So I think it's Psalms 82. Ye are all gods and children of the Most High. Ye are all gods because y'all are a piece of the all. Back to what I was reading over here. I said, it says, we don't exist without time. I says, even though time may be an illusion, we only use 10% of our cerebral brain when activated. 4, there's more neurons and cells in the body than stars in the universe. As within, so without. 5, the all is connected to all, and we are a small piece of everything that is, was, and will be. 6, I am that I am is everywhere. 7, evolution and brain function, if unlocked at anything over 20%, can control time, space, and matter. So this is basically where the elect comes into play. They're able to tap into a new knowledge, because Satan deceived the whole world. Everything has been put in reverse. Everybody's been tricked out their spot. Everybody's been tricked out their power. That's why he said, I am coming in a cloud like a whirlwind. It's talking about a chariot. It's talking about a ship. There's a mothership. The mothership is New Jerusalem, also known as Nibiru. Comes around every 3,600 years. It's always a great reset. And the second coming of Christ is when the 144,000 are activated, which they are activated right now. You see them everywhere, No, people just ain't paying attention. But they're bringing a new knowledge. They're waking people up. They're touching people's spirits with word. That's why it goes on to say in the book of Revelation, he said, I came with my garment dipped in blood. He said, I raised not one instrument of war. He said he used a sword, but sword backwards means tongue. So he smite the enemy with the truth. So everything that was hidden was able to come to the surface, That's what the age of Aquarius means, the age of information. That's also what apocalypse means, a great revealing. The great revealing is when everything in the dark comes to the light, But it comes when the elect ones are activated. That's why it also states that I'm going to use my elect ones to judge the nations. And he said, I'm coming in the clouds like a whirlwind. Look at this. And then it also goes on to tell you that it will be 1,000-year millennial reign with Christ. Because that Christ consciousness energy will be flowing through all of you guys. Well, the 144,000. Just like it say right on here, the principle of vibration, and mentalism. These are some of the abilities you will have. The principle of mentalism. Mentalism is a form of mental magic that involves the reading, psychokinesis, and thought transference, predicting the future, and other seemingly supernatural features. And polarity, like I told you, it's two sides that, let's read vibration. Principle of vibration. Vibration in general refers to the oscillatory motion or periodic motion of an object around an equilibrium position and can be observed in various forms. This is what I'm telling you. Vibration. This is can be observed in various forms. When you come out your body, you are able to observe. You can see things. You can see up, down, side to side without moving your head. You can see things moving so fast because you're not trapped in time anymore. Time don't exist when you come out the body. Time only exists when you're in the body. That's why they said time is just an illusion. It really don't exist. Just like death is an illusion. It really don't exist. You know? But everybody's scared, you know. That's why you got to get right with your spirit. You got to build your consciousness up. And even on your deathbed, you let break. Just keep saying to yourself, I'll remember, I'll remember, I'll remember, I'll remember. Words have power. Words are affirmation. Words are spells. You cast the spell. I will remember. I will remember. That's why you got to write things down. Now, when I tell you about past lives, this has been going on for a while. All right, the first real dream I had about the past life, it's right here. This one deep. I had to write it down because you'll have dreams. A lot of people have dreams and then they don't remember their dreams because they don't write them down. That's what journals are for, you know. You got to document these things because there's messages encoded in them. I know that it was a past life regression because it happened over and over in different dreams, but just in different ways. But the first one, I was killed. Guess who I was killed by? I said, I remember being shot in the head by police in a house in the living room area to the right side of the room in the corner as if I was facing the door. I remember this so vividly. I saw it. I remember the muzzle flash. Boom. They killed me. They shot me in the head. Another time, so I'm going to tell you it's an entity that was following because it came in every life. Another time, they had me trapped in, I don't know, I was in some town or wherever. But everywhere I go, it was like they was undercover agents or gang stalkers. They was stalking my existence. They was trying to kill me from every front. But some way I kept slipping through the cracks. I was finding ways to maneuver them. But they had so many connections, so many places. So everywhere I thought that was a safe haven, they would still find me and come and get me. Or try to keep me cool and content and just string me along, you know, prolong it. And I would catch on like the instinct, you know, that's the power of God. Because you notice every time your back is against the wall, something just triggers in you and it lets you know I got to get the fuck out of here. I got to leave right now because it's about to go down, you know. And I just knew every time by the body language, like in my spirit just always told me, get up out of here. But they still would always track me and eventually they would kill me. Another time, I was like in a club somewhere. I don't know, but for some reason, the people that was tracking me, they was trying to find me. I was under this table. I got into like some little cubby space. You know, I remember like they was trying to kill me. It's been so many times, you know. But I realized, I like, all right, now this is a consistency and pattern. So I realized the same entity that's try to wipe me out every time. So now in this current life, they still here. They watch me day and night. Remember King Solomon said, was it in the Psalms? You know he wrote like 3 books in the Bible, but he said they watch me day and night. They lay stumbling blocks in my path, hoping I fall, you know. And he said, he basically saying they watch his every move, hoping that he becomes a hypocrite, he falls, he don't succeed, you know, basically smiling in your face like people do today. Same thing they do to me. I've been telling people this for years. And I watched everybody that knew a little something get dropped and die, you know. They will use your own underlying conditions or your own pleasures against you. That's how real it is. They can't kill you like they used to before. They used to assassinate us, you know. They used to hang us on trees. They said they hung the Messiah on a cross, but they actually hung him on a tree. Believe it or not, he wasn't hung on a cross. Read your Bible. It really say this. That's why the descendants, Y'all got hung on trees. Yo, we all die the same way. That's why Malcolm X, he got assassinated, killed, boom. You know, Khalil Muhammad, gone, boom. Martin Luther King, boom, gone. Those were physical assassinations. Now, it's more so assassination of character. Find a wrong with them, you know? Most people that's really consciously aware, they use the same tactic just like they did with Malachi York. They doing the same thing with Rashad Jamal. They doing the same thing. It's nothing new under the sun. Just like King Solomon said, back to King Solomon. He said there's nothing new under the sun. They watch me day and night. They lay stumbling blocks in my path, hoping that I fall. It's very real. It's very real. They won't stop. But now, this is the last cycle. They still watching. So, like I told you before, they can't be as loud as they used to because everybody's hip to their tactics. It's nothing new under the sun. They use the same basic tactics over and over again. That's why it goes on to tell you in the Bible, they will try to poison my elect ones, but they will not die. So it's basically telling you, you out here at these clubs, bars, and any place they can try to single you out. Just watch the energy in the room. I've seen it so many times. They will try to get you to God. I always knew. It's been so terrifying to people. They felt the energy, and they didn't even want to be around me no more because they just knew. They knew something wasn't right. They knew. I done seen people drop dead, just mysteriously die. But they used it as, they always get the people that got an underlying health condition, people that got a drug problem, or people that they're literally their last straw. They try to use these tactics quietly, you know, through people, places, and things, you know. And even the informants they use to get at you, they eventually get killed too, because if you work for the beast, you get devoured by the beast, because you get rendered useless after a while, you know. It's like robbing Peter to pay Paul, you know, to get what you want, get the next person out of here, you know. It's the same tactics. It's nothing new under the sun. You know, they've been doing this for the longest. These are archon energies, archons. Some people call them Darrows. Some people call them, they got the Darrows and the Tarots. Then you got the Argons. Then some people still call them demons. Demons, Darrows, archons. Some people even say reptilians, shapeshifters. They always hear it's this energy, it's an influence. It's a low vibrational, grotesque energy. They are grotesque, dark beings. You know, the light, the sun of righteousness never shined upon them. Ever. Ever. They always think in the lowest state how they can kill, steal, and destroy, and take away somebody's joy. But guess what? That's why the second coming couldn't be just one individual. They had to the Most High activated 144,000 and scattered them all over the place. Because once they activate, guess what? The internet is the downfall of Babylon, believe it or not. Because the communications, they let this technology get to its peak. Why you think we're living in this age of this technology? Because we are this last generation. We are the final generation. Because this was our way. Just like they try to use it as a tool to spy on us, guess what? The Most High use it as a tool to take their ass the fuck out. Excuse my language. But that's how deep it is. The Most High said it's a time for peace and it's a time for war. You better read the Bible stories about all the disciples and everybody. They was all murderers, prostitutes, all types of things. He only came for the downright trodden and the brokenhearted. Who's the most downright trodden on this planet right now and brokenhearted in America? Who they use Willie Lynch against? Who they divided the fathers from the family with and gave the woman subsidies and gave them things to sustain themselves and take the man out the picture? Who you think was dropping guns in these neighborhoods or wiped out the Black Panthers that was actually policing the neighborhood and keeping the peace. They was actually doing a real good thing. And then left the next generation to turn out that they had to survive. They had to band together in groups, street cliques, then turned into gangs. And then guess what? They started using this manipulation psychology and scandalism ideology on us long ago. This is the grotesque, low vibrational energy I'm talking about. They can't run from it. They can't hide it. And if you're watching this, your time is up. I'm telling you, we in the times right now. I'm gonna end this right here, because I can go on and on all night. If y'all want a part 2, I'll give y'all one. Because guess what? The spiritual downloads are going to just keep coming at this point. You know, I was taken away from one place and put into this place just so I can be in the right state of mind at the right time. And I didn't even know what was happening. But now I know. I kind of figured this. I knew I would end up somewhere, but I'm in a place where it's no temptation. It's nothing that can get in my way. You want to know the crazy thing? The other night I went to the store, right? I'm out here. I don't know nobody. I go to the smoke shop to get some kratom. You know, some little, the herbal little pills or whatever. You know, that's what I be using. This bull walks up to me talking about, yo, I got bud out. I'm looking at the store and I'm like, what you got going on in here? He was like, yo, what you need? He said, you want that kratom or you want some weed? I was like, I want the kratom. He was like, yo, I got it for $10. I was like, man, I only got a couple dollars. I don't want that. He was like, here, smell it. He pulled a whole joint out in front of the cameras, everything. You know, some little chubby, little white dude. But I'm like, what the hell? He was like, yo, let me get your number, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, whatever. I gave him my number. But he's like, whatever you need, I'll get it. What you into? Boom. I didn't even respond back to this bull because he kept texting my phone. I'm like, what the devil is a lie. They want me that bad. They want me. I'm one of the most powerful ones of all of them when it comes to the art of war. You know, every tribe and individual, because 12,000 out of each of the 12 tribes, you know. And they're called different names in different cultures, you know. You know, you could have just like a pinch of that blood in you. You might look like a whole nother culture, you know. A lot of them might not even all be black, you know. But if you got it and you conjure up enough of that energy, that DNA within you, it's going to take over your body at a certain time if you vibing on the right frequency. So they're all over the world. They're all over America. Probably more in America than in any part of the world, but you know, you got your nice amounts in Africa, and they all spread abroad. But pay attention. Look at the internet right now. Look at all the people that's conscious. Look at all the people that's talking kind of similar about the same thing I'm talking to. It's because they all been activated. Sly, so be it. I'm out.